Well, good morning and welcome to the aforementioned Grow Omaha show. Jeff Beals here at your service from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. That is Omaha's premier commercial real estate firm, serving eastern Nebraska and western Iowa since 1855. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing, both residential and commercial roofing services, and an outstanding job at that. In fact, you know Eric Oberempt from from D&M Roofing, because he frequently joins us here on the show. This is the only show that talks about buildings and construction and business expansion. Really a lot of fun stuff, particularly if you take an interest to what's going on in the greater Omaha area. Without any further ado, it's time to introduce the legendary real estate deal maker himself, my friend and colleague, Trenton Magid.
Good morning. I got my early morning workout in today.
What, at the state track and field meet at Burke High School?
Well, I drove by that almost every day. It's been going on, but at least once. But no, I worked out my avatar for the Memorial Day virtual Boys Town run.
What's it going to be?
The avatar?
Yeah.
I can't talk about that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're participating in it. So you're doing
I'm warned. My avatar is...
Is it really a virtual run?
That's what it says on the sign out front of the KFAB studios.
Those would be the only type of runs I would be willing to participate in. I mean, I can do those walks, those walks for charity, but I am not doing the 5K runs anymore.
I got my Tamagotchi out for a Fitbit, too.
Hey, a lot of people had their graduation parties this last couple of weeks.
I went to one last night.
Did you? Really? Fun?
Yeah, congratulations, Spencer Gordman, who is going to KU, and he graduated from Elkhorn High School with distinction, I believe.
And there's your Elkhorn High School Spencer Gordman report for the day.
Yeah.
I went to a couple graduation parties, high school graduation party and a college graduation party last weekend. At any rate, there's all sorts of graduation parties going on, and the graduates often are showered with money. They're showered with $25, $50, $100 gifts and all that sort of thing. And so if that's you or that's your kid and they're wondering where they should spend that money, Nebraska Crossing, because when they go there, they'll have access to brands like Vineyard Vines and Michael Kors and Tommy Hilfiger and so many others. And if your kid signs up for the Nebraska Crossing app and then puts a credit card in under the Fast Cash option, every time you use that credit card at any one of the 80 retailers at Nebraska Crossing, you get 15% cash back put into your digital wallet to spend at any of those stores. It's a no-brainer. Get out to Nebraska Crossing this weekend. And again, if you don't have the app, just go ahead and sign up for it and start enjoying your 15% cash back at Nebraska Crossing. We're going to go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. They know mortgages, FHA, VA, conventional loans, and the housing extravaganza hunt for your perfect place to live is still going on. It is still crazy.
What I do is...
What, you're looking for a house?
No, but I like to type my address, my home address into Google, and then I get my Zestimate from my Zillow Estimate or whatever they call it. And it just keeps on going up, and it's like...
What the hell does that have to do with Eagle Mortgage?
Well, because then I say, okay, at a certain price I'm going to sell. Even though it's virtual like my avatar, I look at it, and I say, well, gee, 50,000 more, and I'm out of here.
Okay, but where would you live?
Mom's listening, so she's got room.
Your mom does have a nice big basement.
That's true. It's got a 3/4 bath.
EagleMortgageCompany.com is how you get a hold of them online or at 114th and Davenport Street. Well, the University of Nebraska Medical Center has announced that it's making progress with its plans to renovate the former Omaha Steel Works property. This is the abandoned industrial old steel manufacturing plant west of the Med Center. They have selected Green Slate Development of Omaha and Coble and Company of Denver to redevelop that project. We've talked about it a little bit before, but this is going to be this innovation hub where UNMC researchers and people from the community will work together to take some of the ideas and the research results at the Med Center and turn it into viable products to for-profit companies. Now, this facility will be a $45 million project, 140,000 square feet, and multi-use. It won't just be innovation and office space. Inside this thing, they're also going to have a food hall, a market, an event center. It's going to be pretty cool. And the other thing, Trenton, is this is just going to be a part of an entire complex of buildings that the Med Center and Nebraska Medicine have planned west of Saddle Creek. We keep hearing that eventually, right on the corner, southwest corner of 44th and Saddle Creek, or rather, you could actually, I should say probably more like Saddle Creek and Douglas on the southwest corner, like a 9 to 12 story administrative tower there.
Right.
And of course, on the southeast corner is what we've been talking about a lot this year, and that is the eventual next project, which would be $2.7 billion.
I mean, if you have to have a complex, this is a positive complex.
And with that, we'll go on to our next story. We now know the name of the $100 million plus performing arts venue that is under construction on the previous surface parking lot surrounded by 11th, 12th, Capitol, Ave, and Dodge Street.
Steelhouse.
Well, Steelhouse Omaha actually is going to be the official name. But what do you think? What do you think of the name?
I think it'll grow on people. I don't mind it. You know, it's interesting that it doesn't have like Kiewit in front of it or Walter Scott or something like that.
Or someone.
Yeah, which
Holland. Yeah, the Holland Steelhouse Omaha.
And if it wasn't Steelhouse, it would have been Brick House Omaha.
But I'm with you. I like the name. I think Steelhouse Omaha actually sounds really cool. But I'm shocked that it doesn't have a major donor name on it. Maybe it will eventually. The Steelhouse Omaha by Trenton B. Magid Foundation.
Yeah, thank you. That does exist. But maybe it would be like maybe there's a guy named Gordon Steelhouse or Clara Steelhouse or something like that.
The Clarence Steelhouse and Family Omaha. Yeah, but anyway, it's a great facility. This thing, we've talked about it before. It is under construction. The pile drivings have been happening. Lots of dirt work just about to go vertical, but it will hold up to 3,000 people when it opens in mid-2023.
It's kind of like a modern day, safer version of no offense of Sokol Hall from 13th and Martha.
Yeah, I'm sure the Performing Arts Society appreciates that comparison.
No, but if you look at it, if you've been to Sokol Hall, and I used to see the Faint and different bands there when I was younger, and it's neat because it has kind of the what do you call that, the loge or the
like a mezzanine?
Like that's a good term for it. Yeah, that's right. I am in commercial real estate. Yeah.
So you're saying Sokol has that,
yes.
And so does Steelhouse Omaha, or at least it will.
Yeah.
Okay. Casey's has announced that it has finalized and closed its acquisition of Omaha-based Buchanan Energy, better known as Buc-ee's. Casey's is based in Ankeny, Iowa. By the way, I'm reading the press release right here. Casey's is a Fortune 500 company. I didn't realize it was quite that big.
Oh, they've got like 2,700 locations or something like that, and we got some big ones. And also near Ankeny, Des Moines, or wherever is
say it.
Come and Go.
Oh, Come and Go
has a huge,
not as big,
a big headquarters there, but they're very sizable, and I'm proud of my friend and our friend Steve Buchanan, and he started with one store that the Anderson Ray Anderson Inc. sold to him probably 40-something years ago, right at 50th and Dodge, and that one will stay a Buchanan run property. He also has the brake shop at 48th and Dodge, and then he'll have about 78th and Dodge as well.
He's going to keep that one?
Yeah, he'll keep those.
The one right on the little triangle by Children's?
Those are gas stations and service facilities, and then the brake shop as well. So, and this show has been on for 17 and a half years, but Mr. Mechanic has been on KFAB for like 30-something years.
We're coming for you, Mr. Mechanic. You better not let down.
That's where I don't get my jokes. No offense, Steve.
Global Entry is coming to Omaha. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection has opened a Global Entry Enrollment Center at Epley Airport. This will allow local area travelers to get Global Entry and do the process
at an airfield
without having to travel out of the area. This is the first one in Nebraska. We don't have Global Entry at Epley because we don't have regularly scheduled international arrivals. But if we had, you could go through global entry, which expedites it. If you do some international traveling, when you come into the Chicagos and the JFKs, you'll see these all over the place. But this is a nice convenience, especially for those who travel internationally, a lot of business travelers, another feather in the cap at Epley. And that is your development news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They know mortgages. When we come back, we're going to talk about franchising. Goodness gracious, if you want to start a business in this day and age, probably one of the best ways to do it is by buying a franchise. And so we're going to bring on franchise expert Blake Martin from FranNet of the Heartland. We're going to talk a little bit about what do you do if you want to become a franchise? What are some things that you need to know? You're going to find this very interesting because franchising is a big part of the business community. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing, commercial and residential roofing services. Okay, we are going to talk a little bit about the franchising business, and we are pleased to be joined by Blake Martin. He is the head of FranNet of the Heartland. Blake, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
It's good to have you here. And you were telling us before the show started that you were particularly busy during this last year of pandemic conditions. Why is that? A lot of people thinking about going into the franchise world these days?
Yeah, people see a certain level of security in franchising. It's been around for a while, and if you're starting a business and thinking, maybe I want to learn from somebody else's successes and failures rather than making my own. And the other factor that we see in any downturn is folks who are the corporate refugees. They've been downsized or they're looking for something more to create some more security. They may look towards franchising in some of those industries that do really well in markets like this. So home improvement businesses, healthcare, education, a lot of those in the franchising space. And people will look to those as a form of security to build additional income.
So as the head of FranNet of the Heartland, I've said franchise guru, franchise consultant, but maybe before we go too much further, why don't you give people an idea about what type of franchising consulting you do and how it works?
And FranNet is a franchise, right?
That's correct. We practice what we preach. So to answer both of your questions or comments, I'm a local small business franchise owner of FranNet of the Heartland. And what I do at the end of the day is I help folks who are thinking about starting a business, wanting to research franchising, or at least understand, is franchising one of the routes I should be contemplating as I'm thinking about entering small business for the first time or the 10th time. And I help people understand what it's like to be a local small business franchise owner and what's out there and how to do research the right way.
And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but at FranNet, you usually get paid by the franchisor, the companies that issue the franchises to your clients, right?
That's correct. If my client is the buyer, then it's like a buyer's agent, right, in real estate. So I'm out there working on behalf of my client, the couple, the individual that's looking for a new small business in town. And my service is free to them because we're all about finding the right match between those individuals that are looking for the business and the pre-vetted franchise opportunities that we've profiled to understand what their top-performing franchise owners look like. And so when you guys hear me say we're like the Match.com for local entrepreneurs, that's where the magic of my job comes in, is seeing if we can kind of find a match between what folks are looking for a new business and what those top-performing franchise opportunities are looking for in a new franchise owner in the area. And yes, when we make that match, it's the franchise or the seller that's paying us, so it's free to the individual in the local market.
Is it true that if your clients are vaccinated, that they have a 14% greater chance of landing that perfect franchise?
Oh, absolutely. I heard 16.5%, but
oh, wow.
14's
You
fine.
beat the White House average. That's awesome.
Of course, 35% of all statistics are made up. We're
25% of the time.
35% of the time, yeah.
Well, I thought that was 17%.
We're talking with Blake Martin, FranNet of the Heartland. It would be kind of foolish for someone to go into the franchise world knowing that they can have your representation services at somebody else's cost. So you had mentioned earlier the term education businesses and maybe some others that were popular. What are the types of franchise businesses that seem really hot these days?
That is a great question. And I will
Work
say,
from home.
yeah, working from home businesses, which is all of them, right? So, yeah, education type businesses, certainly businesses that have proven to be not only recession resistant over all the cycles. I've been in the franchising field, I guess, through about 5 or 6 downturns, but then those that also turned out to be not only COVID resistant, but thriving during these conditions that we've seen in the last 14 months. And yeah, it includes businesses like distance learning or tutoring businesses, which falls into education, needless to say, home improvement businesses, specifically niche home improvement businesses, and certainly services like home health care that have always done really well in the franchising space to begin with. People saw the opportunity for continued growth in a space like that.
Traditionally and historically, when people would think of buying a franchise, usually having a McDonald's would come to mind.
Yep.
And now franchises are so much broader than that. In fact, I'm sometimes shocked about what you can franchise. But given that, I would like to ask you, how significant or what big of a presence do restaurant franchises still have in the people that you talk to? And then part 2 of the question, what are some types of businesses that are franchised that surprise even you that they are franchises?
Great questions.
Thank you.
So yeah, the food and beverage or restaurant industry still plays a big role in the franchising field. As far as a percentage of our overall inventory of businesses, we work with about 250 pre-vetted businesses that are franchise concepts. And about 7% of those fall into the food and beverage category. So that means 90+% are not. And that's simply because we understand that not one size fits all in business ownership. But certainly when you look at the franchise brands nationally that have multiple locations or dozens of locations within a metro like in Omaha, Des Moines, Lincoln, you certainly see a large percentage of those being in the food and beverage space. So remind me of part B of your question.
What are some industries or types of businesses that are now franchised that surprise even you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just help somebody start up what's called Monster Tree, which is a tree trimming, tree pruning, and cutting business. It's like for people who love playing with big toys, right? Big industrial toys. And that is a very successful franchise system that has grown dramatically and has some great margins. And who would ever guess that, carrying around a chainsaw and the equipment associated with that would be a very franchisable concept. Also, swim lessons for kids. There's some really good franchises out there for swim lessons for kids, and that's something that people don't normally think about when they think of franchising.
And the thing about franchising, which I like, is it really cuts your learning curve. And as you said earlier, that you learn from other people's mistakes after years and years of trial and error. But it really allows them to say, okay, here's what I'm getting. The performers are there, the help with everything else, and you can help guide them. And so it really gets people to get open a lot sooner. They can learn about financing. They can learn about the lifestyle. And there's got to be a huge advantage to all that.
Couldn't agree more, Trent. And I'm the living example of that. I was in this field before I started Friend End of the Heartland, but realized that the resources and tools that they could bring to me to help me get to and beyond profitability much more quickly than I could do on my own, it just made sense to me. I get it. Franchising isn't for everybody, but I do think everybody should at least explore it as an option. I looked at it and said, we have all these assessment tools that are benchmark against decades of people getting into businesses successfully. And even if I was really good at benchmarking, I still wouldn't have the luxury of that kind of data and analysis that my franchisor brings to the table, not to mention just being able to rely on other franchise owners, peers, who've been there and done that, and I can go out and ask them questions about, how they've overcome certain challenges.
So if I want to take a walk or run on the franchise side, but I don't know what I want to do, is there like a placement, like kind of like a career assessment that you can go through with people?
Absolutely. We call it a personal franchise assessment or entrepreneur profile. and it helps people understand in key areas what types of businesses could be a good match for them based upon their skills, their goals, priorities, what they're trying to get out of the business, as well as understanding, hey, does franchising make a lot of sense for you? Or would you be that person that's better off? What you really need to do is hang your own shingle and just do this on your own.
And also figure out, like, fund-wise and what they need to have capital-wise and things like that, and time-wise and lifestyle-wise, I'm sure.
Exactly. And that's where we try to teach from our own experience being franchise owners.
Now, at FranNet of the Heartland, you had indicated you have a large group of pre-approved franchises. But let's say a person is looking at a new franchise or a new-ish franchise. It seems like they're being created all the time. And I think one of the questions people have is, gosh, when is it safe to do you want to be one of the first 10 franchisees of a new franchise? Or do you want to come in when a franchise has been around for 30 years and maybe it's oversaturated? What are some general thoughts, Blake, you have about that?
Well, I'll start with, it depends a lot upon where you fall, where that particular investor falls on the spectrum of risk aversion, right? I have folks who come to me who it's clear that what they live for is that brand new opportunity. And then I have others who come to me, a little bit more like myself, to be honest, where I say, we're probably looking for the security of something that has been there, done that, in the same or similar markets. And so what I would say to folks that are looking at something new is, let's look at and make sure that the pedigree of the organization is experienced. Maybe they're new to franchising, but they've been running this location or the flagship locations for 15, 20 years, and those people are still involved in the day-to-day of the business. And they've got folks on their team who really understand franchising and how to build relationships between the home office and the local franchise owners. In that case, you've got a bit of an advantage because you've got the experience you need. It's just that you're going to be one of the trailblazers. You're going to have to take more of a pioneer mindset if you're one of those first franchise owners, and take some lumps with the franchisor as they're learning how to become a franchisor.
Yeah, grow with them.
Yep.
So as we wrap up here, Blake, if someone wants to talk to you to maybe start this process, what do they do? What happens first?
Well, first thing is, reach out to me, and we will work with them on education is always the first stage. What does the franchising industry look like in the year 2021? And does it make sense for you to research this category? And if we like where we are after that, then we'll move into the self-assessment stage where we help to understand and literally build a blueprint of what the ideal business might look like for them, which leads us to that matching stage.
Okay.
First 10 callers get a free assessment. Just mention the Grow Omaha show.
Thank you. The name of the company is FranNet of the Heartland. Blake Martin, appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Our pleasure. We'll have you back sometime and get an update. All right, Blake Martin, FranNet of the Heartland. I'm going to take the middle of the break show, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Sam Noddle of Noddle Companies about, it's going to be part of the Real Estate Development Spotlight brought to you by Noddle Companies and several other things on the docket. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show, Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate. It's time for the Real Estate Development Spotlight, which is always brought to you by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is a premier commercial real estate development firm headquartered here in Omaha, doing all sorts of developments around this area, but in other parts of the country as well. And once in a while with this development report, we bring in a live interview with one of the actual experts at Noddle Companies. Today we have Sam Noddle. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good. It's good to hear your voice.
I'm fine, too. Thanks.
And Trenton always is sensitive about being left out.
Hey, what's going on, Trenton? How
Hey,
are
not
you,
much,
too?
my man. How are you?
And,
I'm good. I got to be honest. First off, thank you guys for inviting me to be on the show. For the last 10 minutes, I've been sitting here practicing my radio voice. So,
Are you the big voice guy?
Sam?
am I a big voice guy?
Yeah, you are.
I don't know about that. I just, you guys have such good radio voices. I wanted to pick up the slack.
Well, I've been practicing mine for 17 years and still have a little ways to go, but I appreciate the compliment. Now, you guys must be keeping really busy these days. So many projects happening at your firm.
We are. My focus has been really on Exarban Village and a lot of the retail leasing and new amenities that we have brought and that we're going to continue to bring throughout the summer. We're really excited. I think people are going to see over the next couple weeks and few months a lot of really cool things happening in the village, new amenities, new tenants, new events. Over the last, call it 8 months, we've had the good fortune of bringing in 9 new tenants in the village. 6 of them, all dry retailers and some restaurants. And then we added 3 new really cool vendors in our food hall, the Inner Rail. So I guess I can go into a little detail about some of those if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. Give us a little bit of an overview.
Well, we started out, we wanted to take a little bit of a wellness approach. So we brought in some retailers like Power Life Yoga, which is a really cool yoga studio from Des Moines, Iowa. They got 10 or 12 locations across the Midwest. They opened right across from our food hall in the Inner Rail in January. Next door to them, we were trying to think of a really cool use that would go well next to a fitness facility, but that wasn't a food vendor that would compete with our food hall. So there's a couple really cool plant shops around the country, like the Sill or the Houseplant Club or Plant the Future down here in Miami. And we went to one of our tenants who's been with us for about 12 years, Kinghorn Gardens. They're an amazing landscape company around town. And we pitched them the idea of doing a really cool houseplant shop. And they came up with this concept called Chlorophyll, which opened about 2 months ago, which is absolutely unbelievable. They knocked it out of the park. They did a great job. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to go check it out. Just don't bring your wife because you're going to leave about $500.
I'll be broke.
Less rich. Yeah. But it's really cool. About 3 weeks ago, we opened up another Green Street Cycle. We were sitting there one day and we were thinking to ourselves, gosh, we're sandwiched between 2 college campuses. We're on the bike trail. Why do we not have a bike shop here in the village? So we went all around town looking at different bike shops, and I think Green Street happens to be the coolest. The owner's become a great friend of mine, and they opened up a really cool, about 3,000 square foot shop right on the south end of the Inner Rail. Our most recent tenant to open is right next to Chlorophyll in the Inner Rail across from the food hall, and it's called Status. And the owner of Status is really cool, Christy. She had an amazing online business where she was selling lightly used, very high-end handbags. I mean, these are the kind of handbags that will go for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And right before she opened, she told me she sold one of these bags. It's called a Burka bag. She told me she sold it for $30,000 to somebody in Omaha. So she opened.
I was wondering what that charge was on my credit card, Sam.
Stephanie.
She's really cool. She's done an amazing job. She opened up a little 700 square foot boutique that is designed to emulate a woman's closet, and she did a really good job. So we're really happy about that. She opened last Saturday. The newest tenant to open in the village is going to be a really cool higher end Indian concept that I don't think we have something like it in the city. This would be something that you would see in Chicago or New York or down here in Miami. It's a 4,500 square foot space. They're going to have a full service cocktail bar, and it's going to be called Saffron, and that's going right across from Lululemon in the building that we call AV8 in the former Lotus space. So they should be open probably around September. So we're excited about that. And then
Can't wait to try that.
Is there food as well as drinks, or what do they do in 4,500 square feet?
Yeah, so these are actually 2 concepts or 2 chefs that have some concepts in our food hall. They're our highest performing operators in our food hall. And it's a partnership between Nori Sushi and Momo. And they're going to have a full-service Indian restaurant similar to, like a Jaipur, but a little bit higher end and a full service cocktail bar. So I'm really excited. I've been, following these guys as they've created the concept and the menu, and working with the architects and working with our Noddle team. And I got a lot of faith in them. I think it's going to be pretty special.
Wow.
Excellent.
And then in our food hall, we were able to bring in Culprit Cafe. Luke, the owner of Culprit, has become a really great friend. I'm really proud of what they've been able to do in our food hall. We're super excited, and if you haven't gone by to try one of his donuts, they are off the charts. And then we opened up a concept called Ola Mexican Eatery. So we're excited about that. It's really good Mexican food. And then next to them, about 2 weeks ago, we opened up a concept called Rogamo, which is a really interesting Chinese sandwich shop. And I would encourage you, go check that out. That is going to be really good.
Excellent. And the dog park is really wagging these days, I bet.
The dog park is popping. Yeah, the dog park is popping. On June 6th, or June 5th, I'm sorry, we're going to roll out our first ever Interrail Volleyball League. We partnered up with Infusion Brewery. So I'm happy to say we're all sold out already. So I'm very excited about that. The Bark Park is just absolutely large and charging. The Green Spot girls have, who are our tenants over in shops at Exarban, they've got a couple tricks up their sleeves. So be on the lookout. We'll have some interesting things popping up around the dog park. We're going to have dog washing stations put in. We'll have a station where you can fill up your dog bowls. And then we're even going to have a very cool experimental retail component, something that I haven't seen anywhere in the country. I'm really excited. So I've been working with the Green Spot girls on that. And I would imagine by the end of June, it will start to take form. I'm really excited because later on in June, we're going to have our grand opening of Sonny's. Sonny's is an Airstream bar and wine garden over there just on the north side of the pop-up park. So you'll start to see the Airstream in place here in a couple of weeks. Chlorophyll is doing a really cool, 300 square foot greenhouse that's going to be situated about 25 yards to the west of Sonny's. And in between them, we're going to have a really cool wine garden, very bohemian kind of chic vibe, similar to something you'd see at Bacchanal in New Orleans or Lagnape down in Miami. So I'm really excited about that. We have our food hall operators, Hospitality HQ, who are helping us with that. And
Sam, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Yep.
I'm sorry to cut you off because I wanted to let you go long because I'm loving all of this, but we are shot out of time, so we have to get this last thing in. So can we have you back in a few weeks and ask you some more about the stuff we're talking about?
Absolutely, and hopefully by then I'll have a little bit more to share with you.
Okay,
Thanks,
we
Sam.
really appreciate it. That's Sam Noddle from Noddle Companies, your Noddle Company Spotlight. When we come back, we're going to have our lightning round by Turner Construction. And welcome back to the show. This is Grow Omaha, brought to you by Turner Construction and D&M Roofing. It's time for the lightning round, which is brought to you by Turner Construction. They are a Fortune 500 company that in many ways acts like a small company because they're very community service oriented, do a lot to create the workforce of the future. They do big projects, they do little projects, they do in-between projects, and Turner Construction just does a great job with any project that has their name on it. Our office here in Omaha is in the Mastercraft building, Millwork Commons area of North Downtown. And Turner Construction is very worthy of being the sponsor of our lightning round. Lots of things to tell you here. Tropical Smoothie Cafe is opening at 10215 South 168th Street. Sean Williams, who has the Cold Stone Creamery franchises, will operate that. That's in the Tiburon area, 2,400 square feet, opening late summer. It'll be the first of several locations around town. Cupcake Omaha will open in the Capital District on May 29th. And check this out. Anyone who mentions the Grow Omaha show, when they go there in those first couple of days, will get a free cupcake.
That's what I'm talking about.
Damn right. And at any rate, I sampled a couple of them this week.
Thanks for that invite.
It was absolutely
You
outstanding.
do that all the time.
The Wardrobe Spa that blew up at 168th and Harrison Street is going to become a Jimmy John's. Presumably, the Jimmy John's that is located just north of Harrison Street will
Yeah,
move.
they'd be kind of close together.
The Village Inn, or former Village Inn at 44th and Dodge, will become another location of Abelardo's. There are a lot of Abelardo's around town, but that will be another Abelardo's.
And don't mention the opening of the Farnam Hotel, Jeff. The Angie and Jason Fisher were kind enough to give us an executive tour of their facility and everything, but I don't remember getting the written invitation for their grand opening the other days. But so let's not talk about that fabulous hotel at 13th and Farnam.
Sorry about that. I did get an invitation. I must have forgotten to forward that on to you.
Thanks, guys.
It was probably when I was eating those cupcakes from Cupcake Omaha that I forgot to send you the Farnam opening. But it is open and it is beautiful, and they did a great job.
No wonder I don't give me access to news@growomaha.com.
Primos Mexican Restaurant, located at 930 Fifth Avenue in Council Bluffs, is going into the former Petro's restaurant at 60th and Center. We've known that for a while, but it's been kind of taking a while. But now we understand they plan to open there in June. They have had a bunch of equipment delivered, and so it's getting closer. All right, Trent, here's an interesting business. It's called Selfie World Omaha. Selfie World Omaha. It's going into Shadow Lake Town Center and Papillion. It's open now. 5,000 square feet. They have 20 places, kind of backdrops or scenery stations where you can take selfies. And some people go with their friends just for fun, but they have birthday parties. They'll have corporate outings, office team building sessions. So Selfie World Omaha and Shadow Lake Town Center sounds kind of interesting. The Chase Bank, big Chase Bank, continues to expand in Omaha. They are developing a location at 132nd and Center. Breaks Plus is going to have a freestanding building near 180th and Pacific. And Dollar Tree will soon be working on a 10,000 square foot space at 4008 Twin Creek Drive in Bellevue. The new Buena Vista High School
Fighting Bison
at 60th and L will have a small space dedicated to kind of an express version of a YMCA, like a mini YMCA. And they're also going to have a One World Community Health Center in there as well. And the music's playing, which means it's time for Jeff and Trenton to stop talking. That's it for this week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate, D&M Roofing, and Turner Construction on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.